Take a seat
I have a question.
in this blue chair.
Do I have
Sit down.
the same rights?
You want me to hold you in contempt? Sit down in that blue chair.
Do I have the
Sit down.
there?
One more time. Sit down. You are charged with one count of no operator's license, a minor misdemeanor subject to a maximum fine of $150 plus court costs. You also are charged with one count of expired plates, also a minor misdemeanor subject to a maximum fine of $150 in court costs.
I am an authorized agent to the decedent estate. I am coming in here as the settler, and I want to settle this case.
I will enter no plea on your behalf to these charges. I've given you 3 plea options to plead.
No, I do not recognize anyone in this court.
Okay, well...
I don't recognize you or the bailiff or anybody else in this court. Then I'm just going to surrender the person to the court because I'm not coming back.
I don't know what that means.
You do know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
I am not the ens legis, non de guerre.
I've been practicing law for 36 years, and what you've just said to me has no meaning to me whatsoever. So let me say it one last time, because we have other cases to handle today. If you don't leave the courtroom and go to the clerk's window and get a trial date, which is what I'm scheduling in this case, I will hold you in contempt of court and I'll have you arrested. You either go to the clerk's window now and get a trial date, or I'll have you taken into custody now. You got it? Court is now on the record in City of Conneaut versus Amber McHenry, 24 TRD 819. Ms. McHenry entered no plea to charges of no operator's license and expired plates, each of which is a minor misdemeanor. On December 17th, I scheduled it for a bench trial. For January 8th, Henry was given notice of that bench trial. I have a signed receipt in the file showing she got notice of that bench trial. Present on January 8th, 2025 was the law director along with a police officer. Ms. McHenry failed to appear. As a result of her failure to appear, I issued a warrant for her arrest. That was January 8th. It's now over a month later, February 11th, and Ms. McHenry is now turning herself in on the warrant. She is in the courtroom, and she is without an attorney. Ms. McHenry, why were you not here?
I have a question about the case.
Ms. McHenry, sit down. This is not your courtroom. Sit in that chair.
I have a question about the case. That's not the case number that I had.
Yes, it is, Ms. McHenry. You've got other cases pending that are set for jury trial.
The original case number that I had was like TDR like 0800 something. And
24 TRD 819.
819. Okay. I was just double checking on the case number. Can you repeat your question then? No.
Why were you not here on January 8th?
I put in an appearance and it was rejected and struck from the record, and I was sent a letter saying that I am not who I said I was. So I have a question about that because I don't understand.
This is not a discussion here. This is not a conversation. I ask a question. You respond to my question. Now, this is typical behavior for you because you're a sovereign citizen. At least you claim to be.
I've never claimed that.
Well, your documentation that you file, including the one you filed today that did not have a correct caption or case number on it, is indicative of that. So let me ask you, Ms. McHenry, again, why were you not physically, personally present in the courtroom on January 8th for your trial?
I need the oath and bonds to be put for each person acting as a public official in this case who is acting as a public servant to be put on the record. And I also require the indemnity bond, and I'm going to require the other bonds. I need the accounting. Please, for the record, let it be known that you exited.
I did. I exited the courtroom and asked a police officer, probation
Who has
officer.
the indemnity bond? Where's the bill of particulars?
The
Because
bond
I
is
did not receive it.
the warrant is being executed. You're being taken into custody. Take her down to the jail now.
I was not given the warrant.
Take her down to the jail now.
Why am I being arrested?
Take her down to
For
the
what?
jail.
What crime have I committed? Get off me. This is kidnapping. This is a false arrest.
Stop playing.
No, this is a false arrest.
Okay, relax.
This is kidnapping. They're violating my rights, my constitutional rights. I put in...
I thought the Constitution didn't apply to you.
The Constitution applies to every living man and woman.
Yeah.
You are violating your oath, Mr. Iarochi.
Well, hello everybody. How you doing? So I went to court today for a bench warrant to deal with a bench warrant that was put out for me, allegedly because I didn't make an appearance in court, but I did turn my paperwork in for that. You're allowed to turn in paperwork. You don't have to physically go to court. Paperwork is the same thing as making an appearance. However, they struck it from the record that I made my appearance. They struck the recusal of the judge from the record, and on top of that, they sent me a letter and they stated that I wasn't who I said I was, that I am who they say I am, which when I asked questions about that, the judge yelled at me and told me he didn't have to answer any of my questions. And then when I asked for the bill of particulars and the indemnity bond, I was arrested and taken into custody and held against my will. And so that's a false arrest. But not only was that a false arrest because it's all based on fraud in the first place, but secondly, they didn't read me my rights. I wasn't read my rights by the judge in the court, and I also wasn't read my rights when I was arrested. Also, they did not tell me what my charges were. So there's that. I can't wait to get the paperwork where they tell me what they're charging me with. So this is all because of the right to travel. Okay, it's all based on the right to travel freely, unencumbered, and unfettered according to the Constitution. Now, I'm going to pull up some stuff for you because people need to know what the truth is, and they're not going to really know unless I actually physically show them, because you guys, you're not going to do the research. Right? You don't really care. You're just going to tell me I'm crazy and nothing that I say makes sense. You can replay all of this later because it's alive now, but they hold it up for 30 days and you can write down all of these things if you want to. There's benchmark cases that all deal with all of this stuff, but we'll start with Ohio Revised Code. I was threatened with retaliation for threatened and retaliated against. They were trying to coerce me into basically doing business with the state of Ohio, which I don't have anything to do with. I'm not a state of Ohio resident, okay? Under section 2905, hold on, you have to have your own personal, private license plate. You should go through the Department of Transportation, or you can get your own whatever, or just not even have a plate at all. Just remove it completely. Everybody needs to be doing this. We all need to recognize this. The more people who do this and realize what their rights are, the more rights you have. Right now I'm fighting by myself. Everybody else doesn't have the guts or the balls to do it. I don't know what to tell you. It's not my fault or problem. Here you go. Other things related to the case. Service announcement for all of you. So now more people can start doing it. We need to take down Admiral Maritime law. It's the law of the dead. I'm not dead, are you? This is my public service announcement for you. I was arrested. My friend was there with me. Her and her friend were with me. They witnessed it. Everybody that was there witnessed it. Say hi, Erica.
No, I look like crap.
But I have witnesses, which they'll be subpoenaed eventually, and they'll be able to confirm that my rights were violated. They didn't read me my rights. They didn't tell me my charges. It's called robbery ashore. It's called piracy. Because they're in Admiral Maritime, and I'm common law. They're pirates. And committing treason. So there's that. So, just an FYI, the government's not your friend, and they're not here for you. You have to know your rights, and you have to exercise them. I'm still learning the policy and procedure part of it, but I know the law.
The court is on the record in City of Pontiac versus Amber R. McHenry, case number 24 TRD 527. Court is in receipt of a pretrial report. Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Your Honor. We may have a resolution of the matter, should the court be willing to accept it, whereby the city would dismiss the fictitious plate charge at defendant's cost, and Ms. McHenry would then enter a plea of guilty to the two remaining charges of failure to reinstate, driving under suspension, and expired plates. The city would then recommend waiver of fines the court would deem appropriate along with the court costs of the case. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sayed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I did convey the offer from law director Lewis to my client, Ms. McHenry, after extensive talks and going over what she would be waiving today. She has decided today that she would take the plea offer along with the state's recommendation of just court costs and fines.
Okay, Ms. McHenry, it's my understanding today that you wish to change, you originally entered no plea to charges of failure to reinstate an unclassified misdemeanor and expired plates, a minor misdemeanor. You wish to enter guilty pleas to those two charges. In exchange for those guilty pleas, the fourth-degree misdemeanor charge of fictitious plates would be dismissed at your cost. Is that what you would like to see happen today?
I believe so.
You understand by pleading guilty to those charges that you would be waiving your right to the jury trial that is currently scheduled at the end of the month, as well as all of your trial rights. We just had a trial last week, so you kind of know what a trial is like. So by pleading guilty to these two charges, you'd be waiving all of those trial rights. Is that what you wish to do?
Would that put an end to litigation?
Yes, it would. I'm sorry?
Yes.
Okay. Also, you are represented by Mr. Sayed. Have you had sufficient time to consult with him, and are you satisfied with his counsel?
Yes.
Okay. I do find that defendant's pleas of guilty to these minor and unclassified misdemeanor offenses in subcase A and B, failure to reinstate and expired plates, to be knowing, voluntary, and intelligent. The court will accept the guilty pleas to those two charges, and I will therefore find her guilty of those offenses. I will dismiss at the defendant's cost the fictitious plates charge in subcase. So Ms. McHenry, I did not impose community work service. I could have. I did not impose a Class 7 license suspension. I could have on the failure to reinstate charge. I've just given you a fine and cost, although I'm ordering you to provide proof of insurance on the vehicle you're driving that day. If you're not able to provide to the clerk proof of insurance on the vehicle you're driving that day, you are subject to what we call a non-compliance suspension with the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. I guess what I'm saying, Ms. Henry, I could have sentenced you in a much more severe way. I did not. But understand that if you're back here with similar offenses and you're found guilty of those, I will impose those. What I didn't do today, I would do at a later time.
What started as a routine traffic case quickly turned into a courtroom standoff fueled by misunderstandings, legal misconceptions, and repeated refusals to follow court procedure. Throughout the hearing, the judge repeatedly attempted to keep the case focused on the charges, while the defendant continued raising arguments commonly associated with sovereign citizen beliefs. In the end, despite claiming the court had no authority over her, she ultimately accepted a plea agreement and pleaded guilty to the remaining charges. This case serves as a powerful reminder that challenging the legal system requires facts, evidence, and lawful arguments, not slogans or internet theories. But what do you think? Was the judge simply enforcing courtroom rules, or could this situation have been handled differently?